I've spent a lot of time here sort of admiring the problem. So I'd like to take a few minutes to describe what DOE is doing to help develop solutions. DOE is promoting research and development in all these areas, and I'd like to sort of walk you through what we're doing and what we see as the outcomes here. DOE has been conducting battery research for at least 30 years, and with substantial seriousness, and by that I mean we've been spending a lot of money for the last 20 years. DOE supports a range of developments in this area, from fundamental electrochemistry research through research on new batteries and battery designs, through full systems development, and even more recently in support of ways to try to make sure that new technology gets commercialized. That work is done through a variety of national laboratories, university programs, and industry co-funded projects that span the battery technology range. And what's been the outcome of that? Essentially every one of the hybrid vehicles you see on the road today. Until this year, every one of the commercial hybrid vehicles in the United States used battery technology that was based on DOE patents. The nickel metal hydrides have been used in all of the hybrid vehicles, were patented by DOE from research at the national labs. And John Goodenough at UT Austin developed the first lithium-ion battery, and DOE has continued to support development of that technology. These breakthroughs in battery technology have enabled the hybrid vehicle and hopefully will enable the plug hybrid and all-electric drive vehicles to be successful in the marketplace. Our vision of the development going forward: volume manufacturing of the current battery technology will not get us to the price point we need. We are substantially investing in battery technologies with the objectives to improve capacity and to lower cost. The way to lower cost is to improve the underlying chemistry of the battery so that we can have a battery that is more powerful, that is smaller, so that we need fewer of them, so we have to have less stuff in those batteries while still being able to do the job that they need for the vehicles. Our short-term goal is a battery cost of about $300 per kilowatt hour by 2014, and eventually we believe you can reduce the battery cost to about $150 per kilowatt hour. DOE is also investing in reducing the size and cost of the motors and power electronics needed for these new vehicles. While we believe there's less opportunity for substantial cost reductions in this area, we do believe that there's a lot of opportunities for size reduction and performance improvement, both in motors and particularly in power electronics. Now, this slide is sort of intended to talk about how the development of motors and power electronics is valuable no matter what type of vehicle is being developed. But the key point for me is that there's a spectrum of vehicle design options here, all of which are valuable in our push to reduce petroleum consumption. And as I said earlier, I don't know where along this spectrum the best option is, but I know that lower battery cost, as well as better and cheaper motors and power electronics, move the optimum point to the right, reducing petroleum demand. Let's focus a little bit on the plug-in vehicles and all-electric vehicles. All-electric vehicles here. As I showed earlier, electric vehicles can virtually eliminate petroleum demand, and while they may not be suitable for everyone in every situation today, there are opportunities for substantial all-electric vehicle sales if we can overcome the market barriers. The three major concerns that consumers express when they look at these vehicles are represented by the bars to the left. Where can I charge them? How far can I drive? And how much do they cost? We've already talked about the efforts to reduce cost because the batteries are the key for cost reduction. But we have to do something about the issues about range and charging. There's been a lot of study about how capable is our electric grids to support all electric drive vehicles. And the result is that today we could support 70% of our vehicles if they were all electric drive without having to add capacity. So no matter what sort of introduction rate you see for the purchase and implementation of electric drive vehicles, we have plenty of electrical generation capacity, assuming we charge the vehicles mostly off-peak, we have good distribution of electricity, and there are no particular local issues such as overburdening of transformers in neighborhoods. As you can imagine, the utilities have been working in this area extensively. They see electric vehicles as a wonderful new customer base, and so there's been a great deal of study in this area. And the general consensus, after much research by a number of the utilities, there's not a problem here. There are going to be some issues with local transformers. Turns out there are already issues with local transformers as we've gone out and bought all our new big screen TVs, and we see the demand growth for electricity in households continuing to grow. Most utilities have an ongoing transformer upgrade program, so they see the introduction of electric vehicles in their systems as sort of a business as usual operation. Now, there's certainly some things that need to be put in place to help this situation, such as smart charging and maybe time of day pricing to encourage people to charge more at home than away from home. But we generally see the electric vehicle charging situation to work out like this. Most of the charging will take place at home in the residences. I know my wife would love this. Never having to go to a service station again. Come in the evenings, plug your car in. The next morning you unplug and you're ready to go. We do see opportunities particularly for plug-in hybrid vehicles that have a more limited all-electric range where they can recharge at the workplace or in retail outlets. And some of that initial infrastructure is being considered and worked on today. And then finally we see a public fast charge infrastructure as something that may be valuable. There's been some work these are the service stations of electricity, essentially a very high power charging systems that you can pull in, plug your vehicle in, and recharge in 10 to 30 minutes depending on how much electricity you need. Again, the service station model. Our research to date indicates that these are very valuable because it gives electric vehicle owners the confidence to drive further with their vehicles because they know they can always get a charge. However, if you look, especially if you look at the results in Japan, you find that when you put out fast charge systems around the country, electric vehicle owners drive more, but they don't use the chargers. So there's going to be a real issue around business models here, and so it's going to be interesting to see how this develops. But there's a number of companies working today to try to figure out how to make all this happen. And the Department of Energy is supporting a significant fraction of that. Thanks to a Recovery Act investment, the U.S. is in the process of deploying 13,000 electric vehicles around the country and installing over 22,000 charge points in those areas where these vehicles are being deployed. The intention is to learn how real consumers use their own vehicles in their lives so we better understand how we need to deal with this infrastructure of charging to encourage and enable the use of electric drive vehicles. The President has also proposed a substantial partnership with cities around the country to help put the supporting infrastructure for electric drive and plug-in vehicles in place as those vehicles enter the marketplace. DOE is also working on a set of standards and codes to make sure that there's no legal or technical impediments to the use of these vehicles, and trying to work those codes and standards internationally so that the developments we make in electric drive vehicles today can be sold into Europe, can be sold into China, can be sold into Japan and Korea, and anywhere else that we can find a market for those vehicles without having to reconfigure them for differing local standards. So this codes and standards activity is surprisingly important in trying to promote these new vehicle technologies.